Mr. Ray, any further?
Just a couple, Your Honor.
Let's wait. Give me just a second more.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I've got the meeting on YouTube and I've got the recording on. We're back to the original. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Linville, did you have any say as to whether you were going to be on the birth certificate or not?
No, sir, I didn't.
Did Ms. Rodriguez give you the opportunity to be present at the birth of your child?
No.
Did she give you the opportunity to sign an acknowledgement of paternity?
No.
Now, you asked for DNA testing in this case. How long was your relationship with Ms. Rodriguez?
2 weeks, 3 at max.
And how long had y'all been in a relationship before you had sexual relations?
It wasn't a relationship.
And well, how long?
It was roughly, we talked at work for maybe 2 months.
Okay. And then y'all had sexual relations.
Yes, sir, we did.
And how long was your sexual relationship?
About 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Okay. And so do you feel that it was a legitimate request to ask for DNA testing,
Yes, very much so.
knowing that she had sex with you after about 2 weeks?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
May I make a comment, please? Let me explain that as soon as any child gets on Medicaid, the computers talk to each other and the Medicaid triggers the Attorney General's office involvement in getting child support established. And in most cases, that is exactly how Attorney General cases originate. It's not at the request of either parent, although it can be, but that's not typically the way things start. Mr. Byrd, you wish to call another witness?
I do, Your Honor. I'll call my client, Megan Rodriguez.
Ms. Rodriguez, would you raise your right hand, please? You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Byrd.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you state your name to the court, please, ma'am?
Megan Rodriguez.
And Megan, you're the mother of the child before the court, little Bailey. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Now, some of the issues, we've gone over some issues and we've agreed to some matters, but the matters that I feel are in dispute, I'm going to ask you about, okay?
Okay.
Now, there's been a request by Mr. Linville to restrict domicile of you and Bailey to Collingsworth County or a location within 100, 150 miles of that. Are you asking for no restriction?
Yes.
Do you feel that you should have a restriction?
No.
And do you actually intend to leave Wellington?
I don't.
But if you do, if you had a job that opened up in Dallas or Abilene or wherever, and it's for your benefit, for Bailey's benefit, and for your son's benefit, who's a few years older, would you leave?
Yes.
Because that's something that you feel would be good for your family.
Yes.
What kind of work do you do, Ms. Rodriguez?
As of right now, I'm a receptionist at the Collingsworth Family Medicine in Wellington.
And what are your work hours?
They are 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Byrd.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, if there is a visitation schedule that's set up and we're in it 2 or 3 years, 4 years down the line, and it allows Mr. Linville to have visitation with Bailey, will you see that those visitations take place wherever you're at?
Yes.
Okay. It might be a different type of setup. It might be an over 100-mile visitation because you live over 100 miles, but we have those type of orders. And if that's the case, you will abide by whatever the orders say.
Yes.
But at this time, you do not feel there should be a quote domicile restriction, basically because Mr. Linville, he does not live in Collingsworth County to restrict it to Collingsworth County or a territory outside of Collingsworth County.
Yes.
Now, as far as the name change, there's been requested by Mr. Linville to have Bailey's name change to Linville. Would you tell the court why you feel you want to keep Rodriguez as the name?
Because he is a stranger. He's not a father. So I don't feel like the name change as of now is important or necessary.
Okay. Is Rodriguez your name?
Yes,
Now, do you have another child?
I do.
And how old is that child?
He is 11.
Okay. And what is his name?
His name is Bentley Garcia.
Okay. Now, Bentley has the name of his father. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
And who is his father?
Anthony Garcia.
Okay. Is Anthony on the birth certificate?
Yes.
So all of that took place. He's on the birth certificate.
Yes.
And it kind of went from birth on that he went by Garcia.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Linville says that you refused to put him on the birth certificate or all that. Would you go back to that time period? What was the relationship with Mr. Linville at the time of the birth?
There was no relationship.
Okay, he wasn't around.
No. And we discussed about him signing his rights over.
Okay. And he discussed that with you?
Yes.
About signing his rights over at that time?
Yes. He asked me how to go about that.
Okay. And so that's why he wasn't on the birth certificate.
Right.
Okay. And that's why when Bailey was born, she didn't have his last name.
Right. Yes.
Did he assist you at all preparing for the birth of Bailey?
No.
In pre-birth, preparation?
No.
After Bailey was born, when did he show up or when did he come around?
He did come with his parents when she was 3 days old. He did come see her with his parents.
Okay. And at that time, did he know that Bailey was his child?
Yes, he knew.
Okay. Has he ever disputed that Bailey was his child?
No.
Okay. You never did say, you've got to be in Bailey's life. You expect if he wanted to be in her life, he would. But
Yes.
Did he want to be in her life?
No.
Okay. Now you've presented to the court, and we sent that to the court today, to the AG, and to Mr. Raby, your proposed gradual visitation order. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you reviewed that order carefully?
Yes.
Do you feel that it is something that should take place for Bailey? If Mr. Linville wants to be a part of Bailey's life, then this is something that should happen so that he won't be a stranger.
Yes.
So that if it takes place, he will ultimately be a father and she will consider him close and a father.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Raby is not happy with some of the time periods that we put in here in this gradual possession order, like 6 months in location where it happens in your home. Do you think that is an appropriate time?
Yes.
Okay. Again, is it because Mr. Linville's a stranger.
Yes.
And it's something you can assist him with Bailey to show this is your daddy. This is the, this is a good man. And
Yes.
you can do that to assist that.
Yes.
And knowing that Mr. Linville's parents live in Wellington, that's where your second stair step goes in. They're in Wellington, Texas, to where go to their house and have the visitations there with them and Mr. Linville, so that can proceed.
Yes.
Do you think that isn't appropriate? And 6 months there would be appropriate.
I do. Yes.
Then you have extended on from there in C, D, C, and then ultimately it goes to overnights when they're in Wellington, and then it stair steps out to standard visitation. You understand, ultimately, we go to standard visitation.
Yes.
That's hard for a mom,
Very hard.
but that's, how it works.
Yes.
I believe your son has visitation with his father,
Yes.
and does his father exercise that visitation?
Yeah.
And so that's, how that works.
Yes.
When does Mr. Garcia see his son?
Well, he works from out of town, but we are able to not have to
Usually.
go by the papers anymore. When he says I'm coming home, we're excited, or I'll even ask him if he needs me to meet him halfway just so Bentley can see him. I do that.
So it's totally by your agreement
Yes, we just,
as parents.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Bird.
Thank you, Your Honor. Where does Mr. Garcia reside primarily?
Sam Norwood.
Okay, so he's there, but he works in the oil field, isn't
Yes,
that right?
so he's out of town a lot. Yes.
Okay, but when he's back in town, he's pretty close proximity to Wellington.
Yes.
Okay, just a few miles out.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, I had visited with you a little bit about Mr. Linville's marijuana usage. You had mentioned that to me, and that's why we'd put the request for, if it looks like there might be some problems, the opportunity for you to ask for hair follicle testing or testing, and Mr. Linville has agreed with that, and that's something you would like to put in there.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you, do you use marijuana?
I don't.
Okay. Was that a concern that you had with Mr. Linville while he was down here in Wellington, that he did use marijuana?
Yes.
That was a concern.
Yes.
Mr. Linville, it seemed like was saying that he had tried to see Bailey, but you refused. Tell me about that. So
I've always told him my house is open to him. He can always come by and see Bailey. But he never has came by. He has even dropped some stuff off, not from him, but from his girlfriend at my front porch, and we were home, and I even asked him why he didn't knock. I would have even met him outside if he didn't want to come in my home just so he could see Bailey. And he said because he was with his girlfriend, he didn't see his daughter.
okay. Did you thank him for giving a gift to Bailey?
Yes.
What was his response?
He stated it was from his girlfriend, not him.
Did that hurt?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, he has not shown a want to on having a relationship with Bailey.
Right. Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Raby?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Rodriguez, would you agree that Mr. Linville is here fighting for access to his child?
Yes,
Would you agree that he retained a lawyer to fight for access to his child?
yes,
Would you agree that he has declined your offer to relinquish his parental rights?
yes,
I'll pass witness. Your Honor.
Megan, would you agree that Mr. Linville asked for DNA testing?
yes,
Would you agree that he knew that Bailey was his child?
yes,
Objection, speculation.
Would you agree that he came to?
Would you rephrase the question, Mr. Byrd?
I'll drop that question, Your Honor. Would you agree that he came to the hospital with his parents right after Bailey was born, or came to your house 3 days after?
yes.
Nothing further, Judge.
I ask the attorneys if I can look at the
Oh,
presentation
Your Honor,
as a summary of Ms. Rodriguez's testimony.
Your Honor, if I could reopen very quickly.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Ms. Rodriguez, I'm gonna hand you what's been, we've been talking about, gradual visitation order. Is this the order that was sent to Mr. Raby, the judge, and the Attorney General?
Yes,
And this is the proposed order that you'd like the court to consider in the visitation.
yes,
Your Honor, I would offer, I'm gonna mark this mother's number 1, and I'm gonna offer this for consideration only by the court to consider for possible inclusion in the order that the court will provide.
No objection.
All right.
With that, Your Honor, I close it.
All right. Mr. Raby?
Your Honor, since we have that admitted now, I'll recall my witness just to go through that with him as his testimony.
All right. Mr. Linville, you've been sworn and you're still under oath. Go ahead, Mr. Raby.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Linville, in Mother's Exhibit 1, the periods that they have under A, they have that visitation would occur on the first, third, fifth Friday of the month, beginning at 2 p.m. and ending at 4 p.m. That would need to be adjusted a little bit because of your work schedule. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And are you requesting did that occur at the WAC in Wellington?
Yes, sir.
But as far as that first, third, and fifth, either Friday or even Saturday would be better. Would you agree?
Yes, I do.
Because of your work schedule. And if that could occur at the WAC, you're good with that occurring for,
What day is better for Mr. Linville?
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
What day is better for Mr. Linville?
Which day is better, Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
Okay. And you're asking that take place for not 6 months, maybe not necessarily a month, but what the court determines to be in the best interest of the child. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
But you feel that 6 months is far too long for that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you think that a month would be more in line with that.
Yes, I agree.
Or even if the court were to say for 4 or 5 of those sessions, 4 or 5 of those Saturday periods. So that way it's more specific rather than just first, third, and fifth for a month or for 6 months, just a number.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. And then under their proposal, that would step up to it looks like if I'm reading this right, I just got this morning, so I haven't had a chance to look at it close. It looks like those periods would continue, except instead of being supervised. No, okay. It looks like those would increase from 1 to 6. And they propose for 6 months to be supervised by your parents. And again, you're okay with doing that period, but you want it less than 6 months. You want it more in the tune to maybe 4 to 6 of those sessions. Is that right? Okay. And then it would, under D, it would increase from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. until the child is 4 years old. Again, way too long. The family code doesn't even provide for special visitation over the age of 3. Do you understand that? Okay. So are you asking that almost whole day period go for another, say, 4 to 6 sessions?
Yes.
Okay. And then it looks like we would start some overnight for 1 night. And are you asking that to go for 4 to 6 sessions?
Yes.
And then we get to standard visitation.
Yes, sir.
And then as far as the drug testing and all that, are you asking that be made reciprocal? In other words, you're in agreement with her having the right to hit you with the drug test if she thinks something's going south.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Are you asking for that same thing in the order, just that it be reciprocal? You have the same right if you think something's going wrong.
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass with.
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, Mr. Raby.
Your Honor, I'd briefly call Marina McKnight.
All right. Ms. McKnight, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And it's the name Maria or Marina?
Marina.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Raby.
Thank you, Your Honor. Marina, could you please state your full name for the court?
Marina McKnight.
And are you engaged to Guy Linville?
Yes, sir.
And how long have y'all been together?
About 2 years.
And do you have 3 children of your own?
Yes, sir.
And do you trust Mr. Linville to watch those kids?
Yes, sir.
Does he in fact watch those kids?
Yes, sir.
How often does he watch them?
He actually gets them up for school, dresses them, gets them to daycare, picks them up from school, picks them up from daycare. I get off later than he does, so he keeps them until I get off. And even
Your Honor, briefly, I'm going to have to object to this witness. It was unknown that Miss McKnight, I assumed that she was in the same room with Mr. Raby and Mr. Linville when he was testifying. I was not aware that there was another witness in the room. If she was not in the room, I have no problem. But if she was in the room, I would object to this witness.
Your Honor, nobody made the rule at the beginning of this hearing.
No, I didn't object to the rule. I did not know who was in the room with you except your client.
Overruled. I'll allow Ms. McKnight to testify.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. McKnight, you heard Mr. Linville testify about the living situation. Is that in fact y'all's living situation?
yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any concerns about Mr. Linville caring for your children?
No, sir.
Is he a good father?
Yes, he is.
Were you around when Mr. Linville was getting access to Bailey?
Yes, I was.
And when did that stop?
A little bit before she was 1.
Okay. And
Wait,
even
what was that now? A little bit before she was born?
no.
1.
Okay. I couldn't hear.
And
Sorry.
and why were you ever given a reason?
No,
Did you have communication with Miss Rodriguez?
I did.
And did you think that y'all had a good relationship?
In the beginning, yes.
Do you know what changed that?
She just makes,
Your Honor, I would object his opinion, a request for an opinion of this client, of my client.
I just asked if she knows.
Jane?
Your Honor.
Do you have personal knowledge, Ms. McKnight?
Ma'am,
Do you have personal knowledge from something you observed or heard, or not heard, but observed yourself?
from what? About what?
I'll try to clear it up, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Raby. It's sustained if Mr. Raby, unless Mr. Raby rephrases.
Did Miss Rodriguez ever tell you, or did you ever specifically observe any reason or any indication of why the visitations between, or the access by Mr. Linville permitted by Miss Rodriguez stopped?
No,
Are you willing to do anything you can if the court facilitates, or did the court ask be done in order to facilitate Mr. Linville's relationship with Bailey?
yes, sir.
Do you use marijuana?
No, sir.
Do you use any drugs?
No, sir.
Okay. So in that regard, you and Miss Rodriguez are similar, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If the court were to order you to do a drug test, do you have any problem with that?
No, sir.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
No questions, this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. McKnight.
Thank you.
All right,
We rest, Your Honor.
all right, closing.
Please, the court, I feel based upon the testimony that was presented before the court that there should be no domicile restriction, that the name change of Bailey should remain the same. Further, that the gradual visitation order presented to the court is in the best interest of Bailey and should be implemented by the court in the orders of the court. That's all, Judge.
But by the way, I'm admitting mother's number one. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Raby.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. We agree that there needs to be some kind of stepped up visitation. It has been over a year since Mr. Linville has had access to his child. We would agree that for Bailey's best interest and for the benefit of Bailey, she needs to acclimate to both Mr. Linville and Mr. Linville's parents, and we're in agreement with that. The only problem we have with the proposal by Ms. Rodriguez is that it's way too long. It's not necessary. There's no safety concerns. Mr. Linville takes care of his kids. We've agreed to mechanisms to ensure that there's no exposure to drugs. And so we would ask that step up visitation to working towards standard visitation be implemented only on a shorter time frame than Ms. Rodriguez proposed. We are requesting the name change for the benefit of the child. And we are also asking for the domicile restriction. As the court's aware, the family code contemplates domicile restrictions in order to ensure that parents have continuing healthy contact with their children, and that domicile restriction is not overbearing, as it is a 150-mile radius of Collingsworth County, not Collingsworth County itself, Your Honor.
All right, based on the evidence and testimony before me, then I am approving the partial agreement that you all announced at the beginning of this hearing. I do find that Mr. Linville is the legal and biological father of Aurora Bailey, and I'm ordering that the birth certificate be changed to reflect that. I'm also changing her last name to Linville. And so, Ms. Rodriguez, what you'll need to give a copy of this to our AG's office, will give a copy of this to the district clerk. I assume Bailey was born in Wellington, or where was she born?
She was born in Childress.
All right. They'll give a copy of the this order to the district clerk to submit it to the Bureau of Vital Statistics. You probably need to order a new birth certificate to have, but give it some time to get the name changed and the changes made to show Mr. Linville as the father. You may also need to change her Social Security card with the Social Security Administration. Right. I'm appointing both parents as joint managing conservators with Ms. Rodriguez to be the primary to determine the residence of Aurora Bailey. As to visitation, first of all, I'm ordering that no alcohol or drugs be consumed 12 hours prior to or during any visitation by Mr. Linville. I'm ordering get acquainted visitation on the first, third, and fifth Saturdays, from 1 to 4, supervised by the paternal grandparents at their residence. And I'm also ordering Mr. Linville to give Ms. Rodriguez at least 40 hours notice of his intent to visit.
How many hours, Your Honor? I'm sorry.
48,
48?
2 days,
Yes, Your Honor.
a call or a text that says, I plan to be in Wellington this weekend on Saturday. I'm ordering that to continue for 15 visits or until Bailey turns 3, whichever occurs last. After that, Mr. Linville will need to file a negative hair follicle test with the district clerk, and then standard visitation will occur with the exchange to be at his parents' home in Wellington. I'm ordering telephone or electronic visitation or access for both parents during the other parents' respective periods of visitation on Tuesdays and Thursday nights from 6 to 7 p.m. Obviously, that will be more of a help once Bailey is a little bit older. But I don't think even at this point it would hurt to hear her father's voice during the week while Ms. Rodriguez has possession, and standard takes place. That would be your right, Ms. Rodriguez, to contact Bailey either by telephone or electronic means on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm denying the request for a restriction on the domicile. And all the exchanges to occur at the paternal grandparents. Is there any other relief I have not addressed? Court costs are waived. Each party will pay half of any medical expenses not covered by the Medicaid. Questions?
I believe that's it.
I think
Mr. Hoist,
I wanted to
Mr.
make,
Hoister, are you there?
I am, Your Honor.
Did you hear my ruling?
I did, Your Honor. And if it would be okay with the court, I've talked to both of the attorneys about that. I will draft the basic order. I don't know if Mr. Byrd, if you would be able to modify your proposed step up and then provide me that in accordance with the judge's ruling.
well, that's the question I had of the judge.
Yes,
Judge,
sir.
you really didn't have the only step up. What you said the first, third, and fifth Saturdays, 1 to 4 at the paternal grandparents. And then that goes for 14 visits or until Bailey turns 3. whichever's later. Is that
15,
right?
15,
15.
or until Bailey turns 3, whichever occurs last.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I thought, okay. So that's the step up. So it's
Yes.
one step, okay. I just want to make sure. Okay. All right. I understand.
All right, anything else? Let me advise you all, as I'm sure you will hear from your attorneys, but you do have certain rights because I'm an associate judge rather than a district court judge. Any one of you can request a new hearing within the next 3 business days. If you do that, you get a new hearing in front of Judge Messer, and he would start over and make his own decision. He would not be bound by anything I do. Ms. DePoisters and Mr. Byrd are going to prepare their portions of the order for my signature and submit that to me through e-filing. I will sign off on the order. And you should get a copy, I would think, within about 2 weeks. Stay in touch with your attorneys and you have a copy of this order in your hands. The AG's office will email or probably email it to your attorneys, get an order set. If you don't have it within about 2 or 3 weeks, please call your attorney and remind them that you're waiting for it, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
And
Good.
Mr. Raby and Mr. Byrd, call the AG's office and remind them that you're waiting for it too.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, once I receive Mr. Bird's portion, I'll put the whole thing together and submit it to both attorneys for review.
I'd like the final order to be signed with attorneys that they have reviewed it for form.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you all. Thank you all so much for letting me know your feelings and your opinions today. Good luck to you and to Aurora Bailey too.
Thank you, Judge.
All
Thank you,
right,
Judge.
bye-bye. Ms. DePoister, are you going to reset your other case?
Judge, I'm so glad you brought that up because we had a note on our docket, on our calendar, not to add any more to your next docket on the 13th of May, but there are only 2 there. So I went ahead and put it on there. Is that okay, Judge? So there'll be 3.
Yes, that's not a problem. Let me look at that. Actually, I'm going to be gone that 13th of May, so we do need to get a new date for all of those hearings.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Okay.
I had suggested we could do them a week earlier, backed onto Carson or at the back of Carson. For example, start Carson at 10 and schedule Collingsworth or start Carson at 9:30. I don't know what time we're on for Carson, and schedule the Collingsworth for later in the morning. Or
That's an idea, Judge. I think at this point,
since we don't have to have travel time,
yes.
look at that as a possibility, or attach or on the back of some other county of mine that you do for the month of May.
I think Carson's that 6th sounds good to me, Judge. There are only 2. I just pulled up what we've got scheduled for Carson. We've just got 2 scheduled at 9:30.
Okay.
So these 3 we could do at 10:30 or
Yes,
10?
that would work.
10:30. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. May 6th. Okay.
So it's continued to May 6th at 10:30.
And then use the same meeting and password that's on the Carson.
Yes, just use the same information. So Carson will be at 9:30, Collingsworth at 10:30.
Okay, that'll work, Judge. And I guess what I'll do then on the 2 that I believe the court's already signed, I'll put corrected at the top of that.
Okay.
And the one I just prepared, I'll just change it.
Or you can 11 if you feel like 11 would be better. You know these cases, so take a look at that.
Yeah, one's a mod and one's a DNA, a positive DNA patty on the Carson one. So I think just 10:30 would be fine.
Okay,
Okay.
plan. Let's try that. Thank you, Mr. Poyser.
Sure. Thank you, Judge.
You have a pleasant weekend.
Thank you, you as well.
Bye-bye.